Welcome. 1 minute afternoon. We're
Yeah,
so
and how does it get any better than that if we don't live from time, but from space? Yes.
Yeah. I just had to make that joke. I'm taking it so seriously.
Yes. Okay. I will
Yeah. Let's
wrap it up.
get the smile off the faces. What are we going to talk about today in Conversations with the Earth? Looking at the quote unquote promises we made that we're going to talk about this, that, or the other, I realized that silence and joy was one of the things that we had said we were going to talk about in an upcoming session. And so we picked that for today.
Yeah.
And so what is it about silence, or I would almost like to say the dislike of silence that people have? And the reason I'm saying dislike of silence is something that really, really struck me was when I came from Europe, that people got home and the first thing that they turned on was the TV. Or in the winter, it may have been the second thing because they needed to turn on the light in order to find the TV and the button. And it didn't matter if we were there as a visitor, the TV was still going, which was something absolutely incomprehensible for me coming from Germany, because you would focus on your company, not have the background noise of a TV going. Yeah. And so I was really sitting with that and noticing, and over those 40 years that I've been here now, I noticed a lot of, if it's not the TV, there's the radio that is going in the background. And so it drives me bonkers. I know in Access, we tend to listen to a class again or a call again and things like that. But I can't do it while I'm also at the same time working on something. I needed quiet. I tried it, and it's just driving me bonkers, too much noise.
But I hear you. I'm come also from, when you have visitors, then you are present with your visitors. Then there is no radio, then there is no television. And I have one friend in Belgium, and when I visit her, it's craziness, because the radio is on, often the television is on, and then the conversation is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I can focus and be present with the conversation and pull back the noise to the background. But when I step out of, then it's so like, silence. Yeah. But for having silence, a lot of people, I can be home all day long without music, without television, without anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even sitting still, reading, or being present, even that silence, that is for me so joyful, because we would talk also about joy.
Yeah.
Because what is joy? What is joy?
Joy for me is something actually relatively quiet. It's an energy that I perceive as the being in my body, and I would almost say there is an element of gratitude in the joy.
Thank you for that, because it was something I didn't acknowledge yet. But
I just became aware of that, and it came out of, being getting ready to leave for a place that I really enjoy, and looking forward to having the photographic opportunities and the color palette and all of that. And there is an incredible amount of joy in my life, but there is also that gratitude of being able to go there.
And do you know what's so interesting? You telling about what's up for you, you are going out and you, while talking, I can receive so much joy already from that place. Even I don't know it, I never was there, but through you, through your words, through your joy, the communication that your body has with it, that's for me also joy, receiving the joy through somebody else.
Yeah, and you know, how many people would wonder if that is even possible?
Oh,
That you can receive the joy and through somebody else. And I just want to quickly share an experience I had driving on the freeway here, and I was happy, and yeah, nothing extraordinary. Okay.
for
And
you.
as a sudden, there was this whoosh of joy, of just, whoa, And I was wondering then if another driver that passed me in a car had that amount of joy, and I picked it up. Because we do pick up thoughts, feelings, and emotions from other people. So usually it's stuff we don't like depression, sadness, and so on. But why shouldn't it be possible of great stuff like joy?
And Corinna, you are going out for taking pictures and of nature and the palettes and whatever it is. But how often are we going out in nature just for feeling us better? But is it feeling us better, or is it that we don't acknowledge what we receive from earth, from nature, the joy of nature? Because for me, in silence, really in silence, there is so much joy, and the joy relaxes, and then the gratitude is also there. So, yeah, yeah, how much joy has nature that we didn't acknowledge yet?
And what I'm tapping into right now is how much is that feeling better, the sort of like the first step. And once we acknowledge it, it starts to shift into the joy. And I have to say, this is like the trees here still have some dead leaves. And it's because I like the silence. I can hear that just faint rustling of the leaves and look out, and yeah, there is a breeze going through. And there is so much more information available. And I make information almost in quotation marks due to the fact of being willing to have silence.
Yeah. And this leads me through something more than 20 years ago when I went through my divorce. And I lived nearly a forest, a forest, and I went often there to, to calm down, to relax, to comfort me. And yet now I can acknowledge that I wasn't really present with what I received, what it was truly. So yeah, I felt better going back homewards, but I wasn't willing to be with the joy I received, even though it was. But it was stopping me there from not being really present because I went to the forest in nature to feel me, yeah, to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So when that target was reached, I stopped also the receiving. And I could
Okay.
only acknowledge, oh, yeah, I'm feeling better, so I can go back now. There was something in that, wow, yeah, even we go out in nature with the target of feeling better or relaxing or whatever. And could it be that from the point that we receive that, we relax, we feel better, that then if we don't stop it and if we don't put up the walls there as like, yeah, that's enough, the true joy of nature can't, we can't receive it.
Yeah. And so it's what you're saying, and I would agree. It's actually a matter of receiving,
Yeah.
the ability to receive, to have that silence, to be able to lower the walls and barriers that we have that prevent the receiving. And it's walls and barriers that we're not even cognitively aware of.
Exactly, because that's what I came aware of now, throwing back more than 20 years. It's like, even then, not knowing how many barriers there were up still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one question that just popped, and that's why I hesitated for a moment. What is the difference between silence and stillness?
Yeah, that matches the energy that was here swirling in my world also, because, and it had to see with the barriers also. I can be still or not in the stillness, but in the silence. And in that silence, I can perceive for myself, I can be there even with walls up. But when I'm really in the stillness, then I'm so vulnerable. All the walls are down. And there is for me a big difference. For me, is there a big difference?
And what I'm wondering now is, because where I went when I asked the question is quite a different space. And so, how much is the definitions that we have for what silence is, what stillness is, influencing how we respond to it? Because
Yeah.
I went with stillness, I went to not doing,
Oh, yeah.
to be still,
Yeah.
which is
Oh, interesting.
which is totally different, neither being right or wrong, or righter or wronger than
Yeah, but
another
that's
one.
interesting. Yeah.
But
So here is the question then, what is stillness for me? If we
mhm,
ask that, what is stillness for me? Then, yeah, it is allowed that stillness for you is different than for me,
yeah,
because there is no right and no wrong way to do it. But it was interesting for me also to perceive the difference when I'm silent and in the stillness towards the barriers, towards vulnerability. When I'm in silent, I can perceive that in a matter of speaking, I can sit there as in a jail in silence.
Yeah.
But when I'm in the stillness, for me, in the stillness, then I'm expanded. Then there are no barriers. Then I'm vulnerable. Then I can receive. Wow, I can receive everything then.
And I can perceive what energetically what you're talking about with stillness. And you know, I mean, I know we've talked about before on the limitation that is being created by having definitions. And so, what if I can drop my definition of stillness and perceive what you are talking about? And what if I can be still and perceive the lack of desire to do anything? And neither one is right and right or wrong. What if being still, being present with the energies that are floating around doesn't in that moment require any doing? And what if the doing is then a follow-up or after event to being still?
Something is coming up also now is, and I nearly don't have words to explain what I perceive now. It's about the stillness in the wind. As the wind can blow, but in that blowing, there is still a stillness for me. Energetically. So when I allow myself also be with that stillness, what is then possible for me to receive? It's an energy that's called me, and perhaps it is like I'm living here in the city, and since the end of November, I hear every day the same Christmas carols, the same music. It's quite a long time. And now I noticed today, it was really like, I hope so that it will end the end of the week, because the 6th of January.
Epiphany.
So I hope, and I noticed it was then now today, noticing and acknowledging that it is in my world. I am discounting from the start nearly those days, but because I knew it would take so many weeks, 6 weeks nearly, it was something I pushed away. And now today I could notice, wow, even that I can manage, and I can push it to the background so that it doesn't disturb me, it doesn't affect me by doing my job or what I'm doing. And even then, I'm aware now how much it affected me, because it is in a certain way a contraction in my body that I contract my body in a certain way to not let it in. So instead of I received it and I would let it go through me, then I'm not in the effect of it. Now I thought I was not in the effect of it, but I was. And I could notice it today in my body. And even then I asked, so yes, but nature doesn't do that. If there is a lion or whatever, bird or insect, or there is so much noise also in nature, noise with silence in it, because it's beauty. It's a beauty also. But does earth be in the effect of all those noises? It receives its being.
Yeah, and I think that is, I'd slightly translate what you're saying is this is, on some level, we are fighting certain things. And when you were talking about the Christmas songs, I live not far from a train track, yet it is also far because there's a lot of houses in between, etc. And I don't know if it's just the way I have been changing or what the reason is. I haven't figured out, and I don't intend to figure it out. But it feels like that when a train is coming by, it's so much louder than it was a year ago. And because it's a freight train, so that can go on for 20 minutes. And I can feel in my body where the fight against starts.
Yeah.
Can you stop it now? Can you be passed by now?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
all of that. And that is not something that nature does. Nature
that's
is
true.
the allowance of whatever is.
And it is some up in my world with sound also, because yeah, I hear so well, and even a slightly noise that somebody else nearly hears, it can be loud.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I hear you, because I still choose to contract, which is the fight,
Yeah,
instead of how much more do I have to expand to not being in the effect of that
yeah,
vibration.
yeah,
And yeah, somehow I didn't choose it up till now. So what would it take to
yeah.
change that? Choice. I only have to choose it.
And how much is that a sign of being on autopilot? Because we do something, we act in a way before we even choose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's something, when I was really present with that, that changed for me every question I had about choice. I put myself for a long, long time in that space of, yeah, choice, but what is choice? Like, I don't get
Mhm.
it. I don't get it.
Yeah,
No, I was not willing to get it, because when I allowed myself to know what I know about choice, then I needed to let go of the pilots that keeps
yeah,
me away from that
yeah.
choice. And it's our daily life. We grow up pulling in and putting more pilots in place.
And how much are people using and even enjoy the autopilot because it doesn't mean you don't have to be present.
Also,
And I've heard it, heard people say being present, which is a requirement for being conscious, is too much work. Autopilot makes it
yeah.
easier. And on some level, I can get that, especially because I have been and still are to some extent on autopilot. And on the other hand, as you said, autopilot makes you at the effect of something and not allows you to affect things because you choose.
And I can say also, because we are speaking about joy also, that period where I nearly only functioned from those automatic pilots, where was the joy? Where was the joy? The more I let go of those, the more joy there is. Because the more I am me, the less I have to fight, the less I have to calculate also because, how much do we calculate? Even not through automatic pilots, but with all those. This, and then that, and then that, and that. So the joy, and so much. There is so much more joy in my life now. And also the ease, Corinna, because we think with all those automatic pilots, we do it from comfort, from ease. It's not ease, it's more easily, which is not the same as ease. And as I see now, the more joy it brings in my life, the more I let go of them. And it's gone. What I wanted to say is gone. Okay, thank you. If it's important, it will come back.
Yeah. But what I also just wondered for myself is if you enjoy silence, how much more can you hear? How much more can you be present with sound?
And speaking about this, what comes in also is now meditation. So the type of meditation I learned many years ago, that was the kind of meditation that was meant to go in silent and to hear and to but that was a kind that led me really into my mind, and it was talking, and then I made me wrong because I couldn't do it and whatever. Now allowing myself to sit still or to do nothing or to be present, that's what me takes out of my mind.
Yeah.
And I hear immediately. So there is a big difference between meditation and meditation, because meditation is a name.
First of all, it's a name. And then second of all, I would say we are so entrained in this reality to be in our head, to constantly think. And how much is, for instance, access bars giving us the opportunity to start turning off, either lowering the volume to totally turning off the monkey mind.
Yeah.
Which again enables us to be in silence.
Yeah, so true. And what comes up now, and perhaps, whatever it is I'm going to say, because it wants to come out of my mouth. It's an awareness not so long ago that I had, or perceiving something, and it was about bars and few people telling, oh, it doesn't do anything with me and blah, 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 blah. It's just fake, what they were saying. And I tapped into the energies, and I became aware of, even because bars is also about receiving. The body awaken again for receiving. So there is also required a willingness to receive. And what I noticed also in the energies was, oh, but you don't like it when you aren't in your head. So yes, the bars did take them out of their heads, but because they don't like it and they expected something completely different from the bars, because they didn't came to come out of their heads and be present and receiving, that was not a target. So it's all twisted, and then it's based on what they experience, that they're gonna judge it as something that it works or not works, or it is whatever, as it is with everything. But what does work and what doesn't work, isn't it all reducing back to receiving, the willingness to receive? If it is the bars, if it is the rain, the storm, the sun, the sea, the flowers, there is so much beauty in nature, Corinna, but if we are not having the willingness to receive that beauty, we can't see the beauty from all of those points of views that keeps us away of seeing it and receiving it.
I think listening to what you said is this, from this reality's perspective, the bars don't do anything for me. And they do a ton for me. And the thing is how much are we entrained to having the expectations? And then nothing happens if the expectation doesn't get fulfilled or whatsoever. And I also know that I would not be able on the same level as I am today to perceive and receive energy if I wouldn't do the bars. Have my bars run, gift somebody else the bars. It doesn't matter, because gifting is equal to receiving. So it's on a totally different level that you actually get the benefits of the bars.
Yeah. And also, I remember in the beginning, the bars wasn't for me also that great difference. And saying I had for a few years my healing practice, so being with energies wasn't that strange for me, because that was my job. I was present with the energies. Still, after a few months, 2-3 months, doing more and more my work with letting go of judgments, being present more, etc., it was then that I started to receive a lot more of the bars, because I could perceive the difference, and it was a relief every time again. And the more my bars are run, or I'm let run from somebody else, or I receive it, because it's a gifting and receiving at the same time. But the more my bars runs, the more I am present, and the more I notice when it's time to let my bars run, when my head is full and it's It's getting me away of being present. Yes. And
Yeah.
from those expectations, isn't it also, and that's something different within Access that I didn't knew what to respond to when I heard it the first time. So yeah, it's nearly from this reality. You have to know what the result will be, or that expectation. You need to know it before you take any action.
You need to
In
know
Access,
the outcome before you go there.
yeah. So that's the expectation. So, and in Access, before a class start or a telecall or whatever, or a session, if there is something you can get out of this session or class or whatever it is, what would it be? And the first time I heard that question, it looked like, which language is it? Do you speak the same language or whatever?
Yeah.
It took me a while before I even could hear that question. Because it's completely different. It looks like it's an expectation, but it is nothing of that. It's nothing of that. That question, only that question, every time again, I notice that that is a question that allows me to be really present from the start with everything there is.
Yeah. I hear you.
Can you imagine that the earth says, oh, I want to blow that tree and that tree away because then I can, or then there is the interesting, because that is what this reality expect from us to
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
And how much from that perspective, are we the unique ones that love complication?
Yeah, but I'm done. I'm done with that. Give me joy. The more I'm willing to be present, the more I'm willing the gifting and receiving with Earth, collaborating with Earth, the more and more joy there
Yeah.
is. The
Yeah.
more and more joy there is. And that's not from a force. That's not, yeah, that's, there are no words for that kind of joy. There aren't.
And it's the ease of joy because you don't have to work at it. You don't have to force it. You don't have to, whatever.
Yeah, when you tap into the energy, I don't have any words any longer. You don't have any words. It's,
Yeah.
that's the beauty also for me.
Yeah.
But it's only the two of us who can be
Yeah.
so joyful.
Nobody else can choose that possibly.
No,
That is
no.
not
The
possible.
earth doesn't allow them.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what we're going to talk about next time.
Yeah, let's
And
see. I will go on with my joy. I'm not sure if you are going to choose it, but whatever you
no,
choose.
it's too difficult.
Oh, oh, now I have to rip off.
Wipe the smile off your face again.
Yeah. Thank you, Corinna. Thank you. And
Thank you,
we will
Marianne.
see each other
And
next week. And
until next week,
whatever will be up then.
take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.